The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Where, oh, where has Will Anderson gone? Why did he leave Alabama's defense all alone, Will? Where you been, man? Yeah, sure, y'all shut Mississippi State down. Y'all held them to 6 points. But on the biggest games, biggest stages here lately, Will Anderson's been disappearing. I'm not the one calling him out. Roman Harper is, a former Alabama football player, one of our legends. Basically said that you can't have zero show up in your name against Tennessee, Will. So where's Will gone? What's happened to Will Anderson? Why has Will become a no-show this 2022 season? Let's talk about it. Again, another episode of the OCF. That's me, JPC. That stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled JSSE without the I. The OCF stands for the Outlaw of College Football. Also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it. As I said in my lead up, Roman Harper, an Alabama legend, has called Will Anderson out, basically saying that Will Anderson has disappeared on us this year. And he's right. You know, I got a lot of my friends, my podcast partners and whatnot, Jonathan Lewis and a few other guys out there. I'll mention that fact that Will Anderson seems to have disappeared. Maybe he's just reading into his press clippings. Maybe he's put it on cruise control going into the NFL draft. And they're like, oh, no. They make excuses for him, talking about he's triple team and he's on the field too much. Well, they're scoring those points in the first half, man. He ain't been on the field too much at that point. All this lingo and this mumbo jumbo and these terminologies that people are throwing out there to try to cover up for the fact that Will Anderson and a bunch of these guys, Dallas Turner probably too, have read too much into their press clippings and how they were supposed to be this extraordinarily great defense, and this was the revenge tour. Really? What revenge? The revenge of letting teams beat you that didn't beat you last year? They haven't beaten us in 15 years? They're 1-15 now? Thanks to the no-show of Will Anderson, in my opinion. When Nick Saban gets in there and talks a good game, talking about everybody's positions up for grabs and basically false bravado on his ass out there on the press conference, when we know good and damn well he's not going to bench Will Anderson. And that's probably what needs to happen to Will. Even if it's like a Queen of England type benching, where you know he's not going to stay out of the game. But just don't start him, man. Make him sit out the first quarter or so. Maybe that's what he needs, man. Maybe he needs to sit out the first quarter, hell, even the first half, to get his engine tuned up. Because you can't go from 17.5 sacks to 5 sacks this year. I don't want to hear no bullshit about triple teams, because if it was triple teams, like some of you say, then you would have Dallas Turner and other players like that making big-time plays. Now, I can buy a double team, but not the triple team bullshit, man. Y'all stop making excuses for him, man. Now, sure enough, they held Mississippi State to 6 points. Maybe guy got their shit corrected. But every time we think that, they turn around and they shit the bed. And I think it all comes back to everybody was hyping this guy up all off season. Oh, poor old Will Anderson. He didn't get invited to the Heisman Trophy show. And I was right there with y'all, man. I was like, man, that's bullshit. Aiden Hutchinson had nowhere near the stats of Will Anderson. And yet Aiden Hutchinson finished second. Will Anderson doesn't even get an invite. But now Will is just like on cruise control. We'll call it wheel control. because he's willing his way on to the NFL. Well, I'm glad you got an NFL career ahead of you, Will. But if you wasn't going to play this year, if you was going to lay down like you're doing this year, then you should just went ahead and set out the year, man. Sort of like old boy did. He used to play for South Carolina. What was his name? Hell, his name escapes me now. But he set out the whole year. Because if you're not going to play, man, let someone else get out there and play that wants to play. That way we don't have to worry about those phantom triple teams. Hell, I don't even know there's double teams out there, man. I was watching him. Me and a friend of mine was watching him at the Buffalo Wild Wings. It's like third quarter. Sure, he might be a little tired, but it wasn't like it was deep in the fourth quarter, man. It's early in the third quarter, and he's just standing there. Not even trying to make a play, man. And the bottom line is, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, if you don't want to play, Will, if you want to try to just live off your accolades and your little Terminator nickname that you garnered the previous 2 seasons, then that's fine, man. No hard feelings. But let someone else play that wants to play, that's not going to get phantom triple teamed. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, there's a hard option down here. If you don't mind, click on that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Classes now officially dismissed.